Welcome to today's episode of The Growth Zone. I am Christian Bartsch. What is the core benefit of listening to this show? Business leaders in corporate and privately held companies gain insights into trends and strategies that provide them with a competitive advantage in the marketplace. Each episode focuses on an area such as marketing, sales, innovation, or funding that is absolutely critical to the growth of companies, whether they are startups or corporate global players, where management needs to juggle the challenges of market entry or knowing how to navigate the uncertainties of disruptive developments. Mindfeeding is where clarity evolves and helps solving organizational challenges. For those who listen to the entire episode, I have a special surprise gift. I am working on some great guests that are industry leaders in management, innovation, and marketing. Let's get started on today's episode. So today I am with Tom Kulza, who is the CEO and founder of Aweber, and he's based in Pennsylvania. Tom, can you please tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Hey, thanks for having me on today, Christian. So I started Aweber about 23 years ago now, and Aweber, we manage email newsletters for small businesses and creators around the world. So whether that's marketing automation for onboarding, selling more through e-commerce, we basically help you build your audience through email and communicate with them better and connect more effectively with those. So I've been doing that now for 23 years. We have a team of about a little over 100 people at Aweber now. And before that, I kind of stumbled into the whole email game, honestly. I was in school selling wireless modems back before we all had iPhones and Android, Samsung phones and stuff in our pockets. And I was selling these wireless modems at computer shows, and I had developed basically a little computer program that when somebody inquired about the modems that I was selling, I would add them to this list, and it would send them a series of follow-up emails over the course of a couple of weeks that answered common questions and those sort of things. And this was before any sort of like email marketing automation actually existed. It wasn't a thing back then. And I ended up leaving that company to focus on school because I was a mechanical engineer in school here. And a bunch of folks that I had shared that initial program with started coming to me and saying, "Hey, can I get that same program for this other business that I'm working in?" I was like, "Well, it doesn't exist, and I don't really have time for that now." And after probably 24 people came to me and said "Hey, I'll pay you money for that," I was like, maybe there's a business in here. and that was really what launched Aweber ultimately. And now we have a little over 250,000 users around the world that use us to communicate with their prospects and customers and so forth.
Yeah. So it's in the end, I suppose, an online system where I can log in, add all my customers and my contacts and so on that we have, and you can actually, I suppose you can automate it as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's a software on a website. You log into our website to use it. We have templates and other tools for making it really easy and fast for you to create content that gets sent out, whether you're sending out, blog posts that you might be making or one-off content that you might be writing for your newsletter specifically. We have tools for making those quick. We also have web forms and landing pages, so you create an entire website directly on our platform without having a third-party, website host or anything like that. So we fully support those kind of things. And we actually just launched last week, publicly launched web push notifications. So they're popular on a lot of more real-time notification type websites. So news websites and blogs where they want to get where people want to know quickly when something is posted. So there's multiple avenues of connecting with folks, and we really help them kind of help those businesses and those creators automate that whole process for them, so that they can do the things that they love, and let the email and other stuff kind of drive the visitors back to their sites.
Yeah, because I can imagine as well now with all the pandemic and people working from home, businesses totally changed their way of working and so on. It's sometimes much more difficult now for businesses to actually get in contact with buyers, whether it's the decision maker or the purchasing person, or even just the CEO of the business or whoever they want to sell, or the customer who they want to sell stuff to get hold of them, because maybe they are not in the office, maybe they're at home, maybe they don't even want to part with their personal phone number. So I was just recently reading an article that people even can subscribe to chat tools like WhatsApp and Signal and so on, using phone numbers that actually don't belong to them. Let's say virtual phone numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And that's interesting. I thought, okay. So, but then there are these downsides. I have to do these and these things. And I think, okay, that sounds a bit quite complicated. I think that the average person isn't going to do that. Maybe some nerds will do it, but the average person won't be bothered. They either just don't accept the call, or they do it, or they don't do it. Nevertheless, email, of course, is a traditional way to communicate with people. People have tried stuff like chat tools and other kind of stuff, but how is the evolution of email progressing? Especially when you look at what businesses really need to know about how email is then actually changing for them and as well for the whole world.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of, there's there's kind of two sides to email, and like how email evolves. There's the, how your audience interacts with email and uses email in their day-to-day lives, and how they use it in their business. And then I think there's also like kind of the technology component of email, and the things that you can do are advancing quite rapidly. I think that email, more than ever, is really a part of everyone's life. Social platforms are often thought to kill email. They don't at all. It's actually ironic that social platforms like Facebook and Twitter are actually some of the highest volume users of email, because they're sending you notifications about things that have gone on in their network to get you to come back to their site and engage with it. So email is an interesting phenomenon in that it continues to grow and grow and grow every year. And it's the one thing, particularly from a business perspective, that you want to be building your audience via email, and not necessarily just via social like Twitter and Facebook and those type of apps, because you don't own that audience on your social apps. And just like you've seen done on Facebook and Twitter, is you might have 1,000 followers or even 100 followers or whatever the number you have, but like when you post something on Facebook, only 5 or 10% of your followers that have said that they want to receive updates from you actually see your update. Whereas with email, it's 98, 99% of people that when they subscribe and you send them an email, they're going to see your email. It's just the nature of email working. And similarly, like, you can take your email list and your email subscribers, the people that are there, and send them that through any platform. Whereas if Facebook decides they only want to show 2% of people your updates, they can do that, and you have absolutely no recourse other than paying whatever fee it is that Facebook wants you to pay in order to have all of your audience see it. So, email is really something that you can use to build an audience that you can connect with regardless of where you're sending from, whether it's Aweber or somebody else. On the technology side, email is really interesting. I'm sorry, did you have a follow-up there?
No, I just had a thought, especially when you said with the marketing, and especially when you think of it, Facebook, of course, wants to charge you and forces you to pay for ads and so on. And many people, of course, nowadays don't even look at the ads. So we had the transition from people having just using physical, just static pictures, and then we had videos. And now people don't even look at the videos because they're bored, and they just read one little sentence and say the way they know it. Oh, I don't know, interested. It's just the same standard text. Like there are these companies who sell scripts, and everybody is supposed to do the same thing. They just replace one word, and then it's the same thing. If you are a cook, if you are a chicken, if you are a bird, whatever. and say, I don't want this. And then you just click on. And that's where I think the email has a big advantage as well when you think of it, that nowadays most of um, not only the online email systems, but as well clients like Outlook and so on, you can see the first section, an excerpt of what's actually of the message being sent, and I can quickly decide, okay, I'm going to look at the email now, or am I going to look at it maybe later on when I usually do these things? And so you have more attention, maybe even, because the thing is, if I would do the same thing with Facebook, I want to look at this later, I have to extra click and save it, and then I don't have forgotten where I saved it.
Yep.
But I can't look at it because it's like a toilet paper that runs down all the time, and by the time you say, oh, I want to look at it, it's gone again. And if you took a toilet roll and wrote on any sheet a number and you roll it down, you don't see any numbers. You just see mess, a whole bunch of mess. And it just reminds me of an old funny video I once saw a few years ago. There was this cat was just pulling down the whole toilet paper because it found it so funny and then emptied the whole roll. But the thing is, that's what actually we're seeing in social media, but we don't see it in email because we can go and say, okay, this and this newsletter, I don't want to read anymore. I unsubscribe.
Right.
And then I have just maybe, for instance, myself, I think 3 newsletters I get every day. And then I sit for an hour and I check everything that they've sent me there. And I read every article where they sent me.
Right.
But all the other stuff, I don't look at it.
Yeah, I'm totally stealing your toilet paper analogy. I've never heard social media described like that, but I love it. It's a perfect analogy.
But it's true, because when you see it's scrolling down, the same thing whether it's Facebook, LinkedIn, and so on. Yeah, you post something and it's gone.
I'm totally stealing that one.
Twitter is a bit slower. But Facebook and LinkedIn, it goes down. And I just recently I saw something I wanted to check. I want to look again. I should read that one. I went up. It was gone. I couldn't find it anymore. I thought,
Yeah, no, exactly. And then like searching for it is very challenging as well. Yeah, it's definitely interesting. So that's a great analogy.
Yeah, it really doesn't work. But as you said, really the email is there has its advantages, and of course there are technical things like spam filters and other things that make it a bit more difficult. And plenty of companies who provide as well similar systems like Aweber does, they have as well, of course, all the different issues with people not opening the emails or maybe not even reaching the systems like Google Mail taking out.
I would say that the spam filtering and that sort of stuff is really from my view as an email service provider, as somebody that sends hundreds of millions of emails a week, it's spam filtering is not much of an issue, frankly, when you're engaging with people that, one, have requested your information, and 2, that you're sending them the information that they actually desire and are engaging with. If you have open rates that are, if your open rates are north of 15, 20%, you're doing reasonably well from an overall engagement. If you have open rates, meaning somebody clicks and opens your emails and looks at the pictures and sort of stuff that are in your emails, if you have open rates that are 30, 40, 50%, you're doing amazingly well. And that when you send an email to Google or Hotmail or Yahoo, they're able to track and see exactly who's opening your emails, who's clicking your emails, who's not opening, who's deleting them, etc. And what they do is over time that feeds their computer algorithms to tell them whether or not they should be putting your emails in the inbox or in the spam folder. And as a sender, you want to make sure that you're sending emails that your audience is engaging with. And as long as they're doing that, you're not going to have issues with the spam folder. It's where senders are sending stuff, you go to their website and it says opt in to get, this free report. And then suddenly I'm getting a daily email from you. It's like, well, no, I signed up to get this daily report, but now you're sending me daily emails. Or excuse me, I signed up to get this one report and now you're sending me daily emails. That's outside of my expectations. And I'm going to end up complaining about that and either unsubscribe or I'm going to mark you as spam. And over time, the mailbox providers figure out that reputation and that you're sending stuff that people don't want. And where are they going to put you? They're going to put you in the spam folder. Whereas if I tell you ahead of time, hey, get this report and you'll get our daily updates, Well, I now know that it's something that I've decided, yes, I want, and you're going to have much better engagement with that over time. So it's the little things that make a big difference to getting to the inbox and making sure that you're doing and only sending the emails and content that people have requested and really desire.
Yeah, and I think as well whether it depends as well very much on the audience that you're sending it, how often you send it. Because I can imagine if you're sending it to a busy CEO, like 5 emails a day, he's going to get quite fed up. But if you're sending one email to somebody who, let's say, is maybe retired and has got a time, they look forward. Oh, that's nice, and something interesting again to distract myself for a day that's boring. I've just read the newspaper. That's fine. But if you're busy and this email just clogs up your inbox, you're going to get annoyed and really mark it
Well, I would
spam.
I would honestly, I'm going to disagree with you on that because it's about whether or not it's relevant to the person. If I signed up for something and I desire to get updates about it 2 or 3 times a day, it's absolutely relevant to me and I absolutely want it in my inbox. Now, if I sign up for something with the impression that it's only going to come once a week or once a month and you start sending it to me 3 times a day, well, of course I'm going to be upset about that. It's all about setting expectations up front. And that's one of the biggest things that we're always encouraging our users to do is what are you going to send and how often are you going to send it are the two biggest expectations that you have to set up front to make sure that you have success in email. Because as long as you're delivering on those expectations, you're going to have an engaged user base and they're going to want to continue to receive your messages. If you're not delivering on that, well, they're going to get upset. They're either going to unsubscribe or they're going to mark you as spam. And those aren't good. Unsubscribe is better than marking it as spam.
Yeah, definitely. I know, because we've got as well in our own email service got as well a special learning system where we can mark them as spam, and it learns every 2 hours or so and knows straight away what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because we had before we were publishing before a magazine, I think like 10 years ago, for Microsoft experts, and we used to get a lot of spam sending to us. So we eventually had to protect ourselves because there was so much spam that later on, of course, all the ransomware attempts and phishing and all this stuff that comes. And I see as well that nowadays more and more organizations as well even demand from you that you protect your own systems better against spam. Otherwise, they don't want to do business with you because they think you are a risk to them, because otherwise you send them something. On the other hand, we do want to know or want to have certain emails like the newsletter I mentioned, like those 3 newsletters I get and I read every day. I read them and they have links to different interesting industry articles. And I think of the 12 articles that usually are mentioned in there, I click at least on 10.
Yeah.
And take the time to read it. And sometimes I send them on even to somebody who I say, okay, this I have to send to this person, that to another person. They should read that, but they know they don't have to go through the emails. It's just I go through the stuff because I need to be informed about what's happening in the industry, and that's why I want that. And if it weren't of value, I would unsubscribe straight away. But on the hand, so what else need businesses actually to be aware of as email and the world is changing?
Yeah, I think there's definitely a number of things that around kind of email technology that you can do to have more effective campaigns. So there's some new technology that's out there. There's AMP for email, which is actually something that you might have heard about with AMP for websites, but AMP for email is a little different in that historically it's a tool that was developed by Google. But it's also being built into other networks as well, like Yahoo, Verizon, et cetera, AOL and such are building that into their platforms. And what it allows you to do is, historically, when I send an email, I put the content in that email, and that's the content that sends and you receive in your inbox. Whereas AMP for email actually makes it so your emails are it's almost like a live website, for lack of a better description, in that I could send you an email that actually pulls in content externally. So think like if you're subscribed to like a stock market newsletter, I could send an email that actually when you read the email, it has live stock quotes in it and they'll refresh based on whatever the current stock price is. Or I could be a weather website and send you emails that have literally the live conditions in them based on like what the temperature is or whether it's raining or snowy or whatever. So think about from a retail perspective, I can use AMP for email to send out a sales email. And let's say I only have 50 units of the particular dress that I'm sending out. When they sell out, historically, that email would be done. Like, somebody might click on it and be like, oh, it's not, it's not available anymore. Whereas with AMP, I could actually replace that dress in there with something else that might be for sale. Um, and do that dynamically based on the inventory levels on my website. So it really changes the nature of how as a business you can send email that's engaging, and two, how an end user potentially interfaces with that and engages with that. So think about having like a comment thread on your emails where you could comment at the bottom of an email and it would show up on other people's emails that it had already sent. So it really allows you to do some really interesting and innovative things that most people have never heard about with email, which we're really excited about. And we have support for here on our platform, which is not something that most platforms are supporting yet.
Yeah, because otherwise you usually have the HTML-based emails where you've got all different pictures. Instead of that, they're sending the pictures, they have the link inside the HTML to a picture that's still stored on the website.
Right.
Like for instance, you can have your signature sending with it, sending the picture, the logo also, or you design it in a way that your logo is stored on your company website all the time. And instead of filling up people's email boxes with lots of emails with little image files and so on, reducing it. Because I think as well that now more and more spam filters as well are partly as well filtering out emails that have a picture included because of all these naked email spams and so on, with all the supposedly naked women who have the picture with them. And of course, the spam goes and the spam filter goes and filters that garbage out, because it's been fed so often by users with all these emails that it actually knows, okay, an email with a picture obviously must be something not good. And if you use this AMP for email, I suppose the spam filter doesn't actually see a picture attached to it. It just sees the HTML code and other stuff that's in it, and then later on connects. On the other hand, it'll be interesting to see as well in long term how the spam filters will react to see what content is safe and what content isn't safe.
Yeah, I would, I would have to disagree a little bit with the statement that spam filters don't like emails with images. I think there's a certain kind of images that they don't necessarily like if you're sending adult content in emails. They're able to look at that and identify that that's what that is, and also know that it's coming from a sender that has not, that doesn't have the greatest of reputation. As a business, or even as an individual with any sort of email audience that you're sending to, there's very little filtering that goes on these days that it's like we're going to put your email in a spam folder because you sent an image or because you used the word free in the subject line. That's not how spam filters work these days. They're much more sophisticated at looking at what you've done in the past to determine where your email should go in the future. So I wouldn't, as a business or as an individual sending a newsletter, I wouldn't worry about the words in your email or the pictures in your email. The only way that I would worry about them is in making sure that they're contextually relevant to the subscribers that you're sending them to. So make your messages relevant and engaging, and people will engage with them and they'll get delivered to inboxes. If you send them stuff that they didn't request and wasn't, along the topic lines of they asked for information about sports cars and you send them information about horses, they're not going to be into that, So it's more about relevancy than it is about a technical thing that whether it's an image or not an image there.
Yeah, and then the AMP for email would then practically help you scale actually the interactivity, the attractiveness for the people actually to then go and open it straight away.
Exactly. Yeah, it's more about making that email dynamic and extra engaging. So like you think about like a survey. So like if you've sent out an email survey before, usually they have to click through and answer some questions. Whereas now you can actually embed a survey directly in the email. Someone can
Mhm.
fill that out as though it's a web page because it essentially is a web page inside your email. So you can fill out, type things in, or click buttons in the email and never actually leave the email, which is super, super cool. And affords the ability to do things that you just couldn't have thought of, couldn't have done even, 2 years ago. So it's really cool tech.
And I suppose that most of the, let's say, the email clients, they support AMP for email because it's like an HTML element somehow.
Well, there's
Limitations.
building. Yeah, you have to have an email client that supports it. Right now, obviously, the biggest one is the Gmail client, which for most businesses is at least 50% of their mailing list. Of the subscribers that they have on their lists. So it's definitely pervasive already, and it's only gonna grow over time as businesses adopt it. I don't know if you use like Google Docs or Google Spreadsheets. Like they actually already send AMP emails where you can comment on updates and those sort of things that you get from them. It's still very early in the kind of AMP adoption phase for other businesses using it.
Yeah, especially when you think of it, the many thousands of employees who work somewhere in companies who use Outlook and that. If you're in a B2B environment, then you don't typically have Gmail accounts. You'll be sending it to
Sure.
Inc.com or whatever company they have. And then, of course, most of the time you'll have Outlook or some special web client. Now, especially when everybody is working from home, most of the people will maybe be using as well, even the online versions of their mail systems.
Potentially.
Yeah.
There's a lot of folks that use the G Suite, the Google G Suite product, which is basically kind of their Outlook version. We use it at our business here. So like when you send an email to aweber.com, like that's actually coming into our G Suite mailbox. So there's multiple ways to kind of slice that. So that and we see all the stats internally. So Google has a huge presence, much bigger than Microsoft with Outlook or Hotmail.
Yeah. And I think as well that's mostly as well in a small business environment, because enterprise there'll be mostly Outlook, I would presume, at least Outlook and other systems that they have. Yeah,
not as much, but yeah, it's definitely a higher concentration there. But I would still say it's not even a majority.
Okay.
So
yeah. Anything else important that people should look out for as email is changing in today's work environment?
I think that when you think about people opting in and requesting information, it's really important to make sure that you're getting actual real people subscribing to your newsletters. So, a significant portion of the website hits and traffic that show up these days are computers. They're bots, and using technology like CAPTCHAs, where you have to enter the couple little digits to just make sure you're a human. Or using what's called confirmed opt-in to make sure that the people that are signing up for your list are actually people. So so confirmed opt-in is a process where, like, if I entered my name and email into a form, that site would send me an email, and I just click a link that says, like, yep, that's me. I requested this. And when you don't do that, you end up with these bots and other, kind of malicious email addresses in there that, again, haven't requested your information. And now that you continue to send to those, they're teaching a mailbox providers like, hey, you're sending to addresses that you shouldn't be sending to. And these people aren't engaging, or these bots aren't engaging with your content. And over time, your messages will go to the spam filter. So it's important to make sure that you're verifying the addresses and the people that are attempting to sign up for your lists.
Yeah, that's I think so as well. So important now as well, so that you have at least your open rates are qualitative, you're relevant, and you're going to get people actually to take the action that you actually want to get. And that's why as well why you're sending actually the emails and doing all your email marketing.
Exactly.
So it was great having you here on our show. Tom. And if people want to get in contact with you or with Aweber or so, how can they get in touch with you?
Sure. Well, it was great having me on, Christian. I appreciate it. You can reach out to me. Obviously, our website is aweber.com, AWEBER.com. You can reach me at tom@aweber.com if you want to email me. I'm also on Twitter under T. Kulzer at Twitter. And, I would encourage everybody we have freemium offerings. So you can sign up for a free account and build a free website, build a list, build a subscriber list up to 500 subscribers completely free. So you can do that on our website at aweber.com and get started today. So thanks again for having me on.
Great. It was great having you. And I'm sure somewhere in the future we'll be talking about similar topics as well in relating to email, marketing, and so on. I hope you enjoyed today's episode of The Growth Zone with Christian Bartsch. Thank you for listening. Please leave a review or rating here on iTunes or on podchaser.com. If you found the content helpful, then share it on social media. I would like to invite you to follow our show so that you don't miss the upcoming interviews with leaders in the market. Simply visit the website follow.prmediareach.com. I will be adding the link also to the description of this episode so that you just need to click on that link. For those of you who are listening and signing up to follow the show, I have reserved a free copy of the Ultimate Guide on Content Marketing. This is the strategy that got me top corporate clients like McDonald's, Linde, Hewlett-Packard, Deutsche Bank, Volvo, and many others. That strategy has been working for over 10 years. It also got me contracts with police, transport authorities, military, and several universities, and even leading research institutes. For sure, it also worked wonders as it got me many small, medium-sized entrepreneurs and enterprises as clients. And that even included international clients from all around the world. The link to sign up for our free broadcasting service and the guide is follow.prmediareach.com. That will give you access to the most recent version of my ultimate guide on content marketing. You can follow me as well on Twitter by using the Twitter handle CAP_Bartsch. That's spelled Charlie, Alpha, Papa, Bravo, Alpha, Romeo, Tango, Sierra, Charlie, Hotel. Yes, that is CAP_Bartsch. Charlie, Alpha, Papa, Bravo, Alpha, Romeo, Tango, Sierra, Charlie, Hotel.